All right, we should be recording. Everyone might have got a pop-up. You got to consent to it.
Consent
I'm sorry.
to us.
Yes.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. I see it.
We're all consented.
We are consented.
All right.
Half the battle.
Everybody. Oh, that's
Sit up.
a good thing.
Come on. Let me start it. Hang on.
Okay.
Excuse me. I have like my tummy is very. I had too much coffee today, and I apologize in advance. What's up, everybody? It's Josh and Jess here with God Hates Unicorns, and we're here with another very super exciting round of bands and artists we like and support that aren't as good as God Hates Unicorns. It's just the name. It's not a dig.
We didn't name it.
Well, we did.
Well, we did name it, but like,
Hey, respect, I can't hit that.
A little bit of self-love. That's what
Yeah.
we'll call it.
we love self-love.
We love self-love. But we love others' love as well. And here with us today, we have the fantastic Negative 13.
Hey,
Thank you very much for being here.
right on. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So, news to me that this band has been around as long as it has. Josh, continue what you were saying off camera.
Well, I remember playing shows at Club Laga back in the day,
Oh my God.
Okay. Yeah.
and I remember seeing Crayon Death,
Yeah.
and then a branch of Scott started at Negative 13 off of that, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah, that would have been like literally 2 weeks after
Yeah.
I started like the new band.
How long ago was that? So how long has Negative 13 been around?
Like I started at 1999. We've been like right after Crayon ended. So 99 was probably when we started.
So
Yeah.
how many is that?
That's a lot, Johnny.
That's
20.
very many.
I was like,
24. I
24
think.
years. Yeah.
4 years. Yeah. Yeah.
That version was pretty short-lived too, though, if I remember, Scott.
Yeah.
Right?
That version only lasted for a year.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
All
And
right.
then
But
Yep, and then it was only me and Scott for 2 years, 2 or 3 years, drums and vocals, hunting a guitar player and a drummer and a bass player, like endlessly, and then ran into Edward and at the time his roommate Dave, who had played bass for us originally too.
Yeah, they put up you guys had an ad up at was it Brave New World in Oakland?
Yep, and the good old rock and roll reporter from the back in the day.
Right, yeah.
wow.
I was away. I went away somewhere on a trip and came back, and there was a note on the marker board that says the drummer and vocalist had called, can you meet this week? And I was like, sure. And that was it, really. I think we met in person for like 2 hours in an apartment.
least.
Yeah, and then we in an apartment in Oakland, and then we just decided to get together and play music and see how it came out.
how
Yeah,
did it come out? Pretty good, I would say.
here we are.
Yeah. We had fun.
It was kind of sloppy at first because we didn't really know what we wanted to do musically. I know Chip had this big old drum set with 2 bass drums.
Oh,
And I was
I
like-
had the good old Slayer drum set, 2 bass
Yeah,
drums, full toms, 2
Yeah.
floor toms, cymbals everywhere, and I drove this tiny little Plymouth Colt.
Yeah, right.
It filled the car. I showed up to our first practice at ABC Storage with a snare drum on my lap, driving a 5-speed with the rest of the drums in the car.
Yeah, right. He's like, I hope you don't mind, but my cousin's gonna come to this jam.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, okay. What time's he get here? It's like he's here, and he was in the car, but
Yeah.
behind the drum. Couldn't see him. Yeah. And then it was weird. It was weird because I thought maybe he wanted to play I thought he was like into thrashy stuff or something. I know he was into hardcore, but we kind of just it took us a while to find the sound. We wrote some songs. We remember the names and half of the early songs we wrote, but we haven't played those, decades. But we started out with When Heroes Fall and Black Days of September, and those were just sloppy songs. But then we wrote Blue Runs Red and Judgment, which we still play Judgment. Still, we played it at every single show we've ever played.
Yep. Yes, we have.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's it. We didn't know what we were doing. So the first record we ever recorded was just a band
All over
without
the
a
place.
a band without a sound. But we were
Well,
heavy. Yeah.
We
But-
wanted to combine two different styles. Like I Hate God and VOD. Like that's the
That's
thing
it.
that most of us were into. So like to combine those two different styles was what I always heard in my head, but no one else was ever doing.
Right.
So that's what I wanted to do.
Hell yeah. Yeah, listening to your stuff, I was like, I don't really know specifically what genre this is, which speaks volumes to me. I'm like, people are like, I have a lot of metal friends and I like a lot of metal music, and they're like, what kind of metal would you explain? How would you describe that? I'm like,
Edward,
Good.
take that.
I mean, I wrote it on a
Good.
napkin. I wrote it on a napkin in a restaurant because I just was really trying to. Some guy asked me. I said, "Well, I play in a heavy metal band." That's the fitting term. It's like, well, what kind of metal? I'm like, it's. So I just like and I wrote it down. I said, post-punk infested stoner sludge doomcore.
there you go.
There it is. It's a combination of all of our influences. It always starts, I think the they say I Hate God and Crowbar, and I say Tony Iommi.
Right.
But right.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I
It's-
say
it's-
Joey Lucchese from I
Yeah.
Hate God.
Right. But it's that
R.I.P.
blues tinge, southern, bendy, detuned riff. That's usually what everything starts with, and then it goes. And my influences of if Chip is more into aggressive hardcore, I'm more into the post-punk side of things. That's what got me into it's kind of what led me to like more extreme like metal was like the 90s, like the Fugazi and Jawbox.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
Dinosaur Jr. And then Helmet and all that stuff kind of got me into eventually what became like doom metal and death metal, and I love that stuff now. But so that's there. Scott's like
He's all over the place.
yeah, Scott's like vocally yeah. Scott was like in the 90s he looked like in the late 90s he looked like a guy in a new metal band, but he had no interest in being in a new metal band. And I think a lot of bands wanted him because he could scream like better than most of the guys in new metal bands could, but he just he's just not having that. He wanted
that's not my style.
Yeah, give him a riff, not a bounce. We learned that early on because it was easy to get stuck in that in the late 90s when you're trying to do something new. It was easy to get stuck in, well, this is what everyone else is doing. This is what we think are going to get people to shows. And it's just, looking down at your shoes wearing Adidas, squishy pants.
Hey, new
Hey, I
metal's
was there,
coming
Chuck.
back.
Right, yeah.
I don't think it ever left.
I don't think it ever left. I'm with Scott. I mean, Korn hasn't stopped playing like stadiums since,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can't hate too much, but I definitely like other metal more, but I can't hate new metal too much. Like Limp Bizkit,
Yeah, see, that's
like, name a better song than Break Stuff.
You can't. It's the best song. It's a perfect song.
It's
It was amazing.
as a pop, metal,
No.
or any song, it's kind of like hits
They have a
all-
hook. There's
You
always a
said-
hook.
it hits
but you
all
said it.
the-
you said pop. That's what that song is. It's a pop song.
But it's also a metal song.
It's
Yeah,
not so
it's-
metal, but the great thing about that song is that it doesn't really matter what kind of genre person you are. You might be a very like pop person, you might be a rock person, you might be a metal person, but you like that song, even if you don't want to admit.
Oh yeah, I
You
mean,
have to-
it's two notes. It's really recognizable riff, and that chorus. I mean, it was just I get it. It works, but that's what that pop thing is. Red
Yeah,
Dress
Know how to
Red.
write a hook.
He knew how to write hooks. He wrote hooks.
Yep.
That's not what we wanted to do. Like it was
Right.
just that's what everyone like expected of you, especially when you had like two guys with dreadlocks and like
Mhm.
that's what they expected when they showed up, and it was just like, no, we were just trying to find something that it was a little embarrassing the beginnings. The record's up on streaming services. It's self-titled. It is. I say it's embarrassing, but we still play.
I don't think it's
There's
embarrassing.
a couple songs that are still
In
relevant.
my opinion, 50% of the first album was absolutely phenomenal. The other 50% was like, what the heck are we doing?
Yeah, the other 50% was us trying to figure like, well, it's riffs, it's ideas, put them together,
Stuff we wrote 25 years ago.
Right. But
Yeah.
I
that's-
don't know. First,
Yeah.
God Hates Unicorns, the self-titled. I find it to be almost unlistenable.
Hey, that means you're doing
It's great.
something right. That means you're doing something right because everyone has to go through that. And just that confidence of you at that
It's-
time saying,
it
this is
sounds-
really good music, this can represent us. And then, you grow up and everything goes. But that's, that's what a record is. It's a timestamp. That's who you
Yeah,
are.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're growing with different musicians at different times, or with the same musicians, but like just getting better. And
Yeah.
I've been through that for a long time. I'm not going to age myself like Club Logger days, but
Right.
I was a kid then. By the way,
You weren't.
I,
the
I
top-
was
you
too. I
weren't
was
the top-
young.
I was in high school.
I was in my 20s.
I was
I
barely
was in high
allowed to
school.
drink at that
Yeah.
point.
You weren't 8.
I was 8.
You weren't
Yeah,
8.
yeah.
I was 8.
You were
My
8?
first show ever was a Club Logger. I was in a new metal band. I started.
What
I
band?
was Adidas tracksuit up,
What was the band name?
composite halo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We played one show with Rampant, some Christian death metal band, which was fun,
Always.
and
The
Always
irony.
interesting.
and then the Ninnies, which
I like that name.
which is a great
The
punk,
Ninnies.
we're a great punk band from
Yeah.
my high school.
And
Okay.
names.
They had a song called Wonder, the Wonder Years, where it's all about the Wonder Years,
Nice.
and
The ninnies singing about Winnie.
Yeah.
Great.
but I miss those days, and we're trying to start our own like subgenre of heavy music called unicore.
Unicorn.
Okay.
And there's no musical style to it, just what we're gonna do.
Well, we do. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think even now we don't really have one set sound. We have.
That's what I like about you guys, though. You never know what the fuck to expect.
Right.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
We have 2 new songs we're working on. One's a punk song, one's like an 80s fucking ballad, like almost like Jailbait or fucking 17. I kind of want to make it like anti that.
Nice.
Like
Mhm.
Nice.
That could
Yeah.
work.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah. You play
we
your,
don't fuck
yeah.
kids. We don't fuck kids. Like that kind of thing.
that's
Yep,
your hook
yep.
right there. That's your chorus.
Yeah.
That's the course. That's the course everyone can. Most people can agree on. The people that we want as our audience can
I was
agree on.
gonna
We
say-
don't. If you don't care for that, if you're against that message, then we don't really want you as our listener.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's what you should do. That's what you do, though. You play. You know who your influences are, but you have to leave those. You have to check those at the door.
mhm. Absolutely.
That's what it was. Yeah. It was a different though. Like it was so. Thinking about it now, because like it was like what 20 years went by, almost what 19 years, 18 years before we started playing again. What 2 years
Yep.
ago?
Yep.
It's just
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Not,
Remember seeing your name.
what's the word I'm looking for, Ed? Not without someone in your band being on your asses every year the whole
Yeah,
entire
Chip.
time.
yeah, Chip always kept going at it. Like he said,
Yep.
he wanted like he was right though. We didn't like we were never gonna play with anyone else like each other. Like at least musically, like this was like I did this when the 3 of us would get in a room and make music. It was like that's that was something. And then it's easier for me as a songwriter to like. I'm not embarrassed by an idea. I'm just like I know what I think works best for this band. So like try it, and it's just like a polite rejection. Nope, move on. Or it's just this. If Chip starts to play drums to it, it's gonna work. We'll find it. Any other band I tried to be with or be in, it was just the complete opposite. It was like a nightmare.
Yep.
Mhm.
Song must be written completely from beginning to end, and be strong. And we're just gonna stand around with our arms crossed and listen to it without any tempo or anything. You're just gonna play it, and then you're gonna like, okay, yes or no, and it's not like that. Like, it's still the way Negative works still. We start with one idea and build from that.
Yep.
We don't do the opposite.
I think
Yeah,
that's
there's a
what we wanna
weird,
do.
there's a real weird connection I call between us. Like Edward and Scott took a long break from music after our first big run years and years ago.
Right.
I never quit. I kept going. I bounced from this band to this band to this band. Started doing vocals in hardcore bands and back to drums and jumped into cover bands, and like every single one of them, even my wife was like, "This is not you, and you're not into this. You're only doing it for the sake of doing it." And it was amazing. All she ever heard, like the whole time we've been married together, everything. She probably got sick of hearing, negative, negative, negative. Oh, if you would have seen
Yeah.
negative, oh my God, negative, 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 negative. Like, and then when we finally got together and started jamming, she came down and sat down and was like, I get it. I get it. You know, it's there's just something with like, and I say us three because, you know, there's been changes over the years and all this stuff. Da, 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 da. You know, we just brought in Mary, what, 2 years now?
Almost 2
Coming
years.
up
Here's
in October. Yeah.
Almost 2 years, Metal Mary. But it's always been us three were always there. That was the consistency. And it was like, this works, this works, this is just what it is. And whenever our original bass player, I mean, he moved out to Johnstown, like it's not going to work. You're living in Johnstown and trying to practice here in good old north of Pittsburgh, Gibsonia, you know, like that's never going to work. And we understood he has family, all those things. We tried out quite a few people, asked quite a few people, and like none of them worked, none of them worked, none of them worked. And it was a real interesting story. Again, goes back to my wife. We were going to see Punk and Drublick 2 years ago when it was Sick of It All, No Effects, a bunch of them down there, right? And I had known Mary for a long time just from being in the scene. And my wife was talking to her online, just BSing, and they both said, we're going to the show, come say hi. So we end up finding her at the show. And I tell these two about it. They're like, ask her if she wants to play bass. I was like, I can't do that. But we were going into the studio just to record a single. First thing we recorded years and years and years. So I was like, hey, would you be interested in coming in the studio and recording a song with us? Just a single, like no pressure. You don't have to join the band, nothing. Just come in, learn a song, record all that. She's like, oh, heck yeah, heck yeah. So we're going on. She comes, she's recording. I do my part, you know, I go about my way. Like later that evening, these two are texting me going, Mary wants to join the band. I was like, get the hell out of here. There's no way. Like she asked us. I was like, get the hell out of here. And you know, almost 2 years later, here we are. You know, so it's a neat little, whatever you want to call it, a circle or whatever. But it's like I said, now I think we really got our core I don't even know what you want. Not even lineup. It just like our chemistry and our musicianship is now.
It was going to be hard for us to find because it was going to be find someone who just gels with this because we knew how our old bass player played and it was so easy to play with him. It was, you know, it was effortless and it was effortless to write music with him because we could just spill idea after idea. But with her, it was kind of like, you know, she came in and said, you guys are just really just a band that I've never played with before in any way because it's not about genre and anything. It's about the finished product and it's about you're satisfied with what you have. And it's for the room, and you know if the audience likes it, they like it. They don't, they don't. And she says we're challenging her in ways that she hasn't been challenged before, which I love to hear.
Absolutely.
Because, and I told her it's gonna be different because it took me a while to figure out if I think a song in my head, if I think a song sounds fast. When I write music, by the way, I don't write to like Logic Pro. I don't write to any of those things. I don't write with click tracks or anything. I just write a raw riff. And then I write in my head, I'm like, okay, I think this should be a pretty quick song. Like this is a pretty quick tempo on this song.
I know where this is going.
And Chip will hear it, like, nope. And he'll just start playing something maybe mid-tempo. And I'm like, oh, it works. And the other parts of the song I thought I had other ideas for it are gone, scrapped, start over with this now. You know? And that it's kind of weird how he does it, but it works. And that's what Mary's learning how to feed off of that. And now she's really jumping in. We're writing a song for we're recording in July, another record. And this is a song we're working on now. She just jumped right in without even hesitation. Now she's very comfortable with this. Like, I got an idea, go, you know, we just like, whoa, she's going, like, you know, now she's way more comfortable doing it. So I think we found someone that like, you know, really gets what we're trying to do musically.
Yep.
Oh, and personality too.
No, personality. Yeah.
She's awesome. But I'm saying, I've always said for years, I think that's why the three of us right here get along so well musically is because if you can't gel personally, I don't care how good of musicians you are. I'm sure you two have run into it. Like, all these great musicians, but the personality sucks. And you can't deal with it. And 6 months later, they're not in the band or you're not in the band anymore. I'd rather have someone, and this isn't Mary at all, because Mary has both. She has the personality and the skill. Like, I would rather have someone's personality gel with us and we'll make the musicianship work prior to musicianship and their personality, you know, it's So we really lucked out for that final piece of this, you know, because we started getting nervous because we finally after, especially me, because after 20 years, I finally got these guys be like, "Yep, we're gonna do this again." And then our bass player was like, "I can't."
And it spared me the embarrassment. Yeah, it spared me the embarrassment of having to try to play bass on a record.
We spent like 6 months, just the three of us writing, just writing songs.
Oh, and
Nobody-
then before that, it was 6 months of just me and Edward. With Scott, we put one of our phones up and he'd be in on like this, a Zoom conference call with us at practice, watching
during
us
the pandemic. Yeah,
during the
Mhm.
pandemic. 'cause
The end of it, yeah.
that's
You
the
know?
best I could do.
Yep,
Like,
couldn't
It,
chance
it
anything
was
with the kids.
it was a weird go. I didn't actually, when Chip says that we left music, he wasn't kidding. I did not play guitar for 12 years.
I didn't sing.
Jeez, nothing. Not
I had
even
no
a-
no, I had no gear. Nothing. I sold
You
all
used-
my gear when I went to college, and yeah, I mean, I sold everything. I had and my wife was like, "There's a guitar under the bed in our bedroom." It's like, yeah, there was. It was the legs on the bed broke, so the box spring had to come down, you know, and we had the mattress on it, you know, classic college room stuff. But you know, I was like, yeah, that's right. I did have it, and I like, you know, I lifted the whole thing up and pulled the case out, and there it was. The dust on the case was so thick, the case wasn't black. It was actually like a light gray.
Oh my gosh.
It was totally disgusting. And then I opened it, and the strings were nothing but rust.
Oh,
Mhm.
So I went out and bought a pair of strings. I had then I texted our bass player, the old bass player, and I said, this was our tuning, right? Like I tried to remember the tuning. I was like, do you remember what kind of gauge strings I use? Yada yada yada. And it was just so like, ugh. It was hard for me to play. We found some equipment, you know, we were lucky to get people to let us borrow gear, me borrow gear, and just started raw. And instead of trying to relearn the old songs, I just came one day. I said, Chip, I remember these two songs. And then I sat down on my sofa one night after I got home with him and just wrote something. The next time I saw him, I said, here's this. And he's like, perfect. Perfect. And it was
Great.
it's the song called My Scars Are Showing Again from the new album.
well, I think the irony of all of that is when we said we were getting back together, our only intention at all was to get together, jam, try to remember the songs we never recorded and
Right.
record them and then put this to bed. Like that
Mhm.
was our goal. Like that's it. Like, hey, we're done. Like, let's do it right. Let's finish everything, put it to bed
Yeah.
and end it on a good note. And again, here we are 2+ years later on the second new album.
Right. We
Playing
wrote
shows
yeah.
all over the place, you know. So
Oh,
it's
yeah,
pretty,
it's
it's pretty
crazy.
wild.
It is crazy because it's like that's why that song is so simple. I really had to relearn how to play.
Yeah.
I was a very regimented guitar player. I used to sight read music. I wanted to be a jazz guitar player. I remember none of that. None. I don't, you know, like I was like even with Mary because she's like a music student. I'm like, I think this song's in C minor. I don't actually remember if it is. You know, it's like it's a language. Music is a
Mhm.
language. I forgot it. I wasn't using it, so I just I wrote these basic choppy songs. There's like 3 of them on the Morning Hysteria album. You know, you play in a box, and then after a while, I just got comfortable. I said, "Let it rip," just the way we used to. Let it
That
rip.
shit's super fucking annoying though, as a singer. When everyone's like, "This is in C minor," I'm like, "Fuck."
I don't know.
What's it? It's a singer. It shouldn't matter to you. Unless you're one of
Trouble with
those singers, unless you're like one of those singers like Eddie Vedder or something, it says, fine, I'll sing this in a G major right over it. You know, like,
Yeah, I
doesn't
don't
matter.
think I scream in key much.
yeah, right.
You never know.
Exactly.
You never know.
Never
It's all
know.
about pitch.
I'm a former pianist and trombone player, so I'm like,
Nice.
I started thinking about like, you know, the keys. I'm like, this doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's
why
where I'm
am
at.
I even bothering thinking of this right now?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like what I mean, I read an interview once with Ben Weinman from the Dillinger Escape Plan, and he said that, you know, one of his guitar heroes is one of my guitar heroes, Page Hamilton from Helmet. And you know, Page Hamilton's a very much a regimented musician. You know, he went to college.
yeah, he's
you know,
awesome. He's
yeah,
amazing.
he is a jazz guitar player to the fullest extent. That's what he went to college for. And he met Ben, who knows music quite well too, and he says, we spent all these years, like from our, you know, adolescence to our middle school, high school. Now we went to college, we got graduate degrees in music, and we're gonna start our own bands. We have to forget all of that and just see what sounds right and move on. You know, get the audience to move their head, and that's all you have to worry about now. They're not going to be impressed by what kind of runs you do. And I remembered that years ago when I read that, and I said, yeah, just forget about it. Just write a damn song.
Exactly.
Well, I was told
Yeah.
that when I was in high school, when I was in music theory and like all that, you know, concert band shit. Like in music theory class, when it was like, when you're playing with other people, fuck music theory.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean,
Like-
you have a
Like,
basis for it, but
you
yeah.
have the knowledge, but like fuck that ideal, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
work with people.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
it comes in like Chip reminds me that, you know, your count's off on this, whatever you think you're playing, it's not. And that maybe that, you know, that helps because it helps you pick differently, you know, things like that. But that's
Yeah,
nothing else.
Yep.
Well, that's Chip. Chip says what do you call it? Like we changed the channel?
Oh, all the time. It's like some of our songs, it's like when you're okay, I'll use current day terms so I don't sound too old when people see this. When you're looking at Netflix and trying to pick something to watch, yeah, that's kind of like with some of our songs. Well, not so much now. We're kind of getting a little better at it. We do have some channel changing parts. You know, it's like, hey, click, there's a new part. Wait, what the hell did they just
Yeah,
do?
what?
Well, wait a minute, that worked. Whoa, you know. But we used to be very remote control. That first album, I mean, it was like they just played like 18 songs in this one song. What the hell are they doing? You know?
Yeah.
do you mean Netflix when they sent you movies in the mail?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, remember that? Remember when that was like the coolest thing ever? Yeah, and they stopped doing that now, right? It's like,
You
No,
you
yeah.
you rent like 3 at a time, and you're like
Mhm.
send back one at you know before you got
Return it.
another one.
Crazy.
long live the DVD. I think the CD will be back before the DVD. I don't think the CD has left.
No,
I'd like to see the CD come back full. Like I want to see cars coming back with CD players.
and the
Mhm.
CD is still better than a record and a cassette.
Of course, it's
I
digital.
don't know that that's true.
It's
You think
Yeah.
SD is better than a record?
a record records when they were made back in the day couldn't get all of the low end.
Well, I mean
Yeah,
records
and-
now.
Records now are different now.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
so
they're recorded digitally. Yeah,
Yeah, so
Yep.
it's the same as a CD.
okay. Well,
yeah. It's we've learned now essentially.
It's cool.
Yeah,
Like listening to the records, and I'm not gonna shit on that listening device because I think it's really awesome. But it's not how the artist intended it to sound.
Yes.
Because
Correct.
gotcha.
because they could not do what they wanted to do when records
Right,
were
exactly.
big. So like the whole record phase is more just like a throwback, like, hey, isn't this a neat little thing? And
Yeah.
But they
it
come in
is.
so many colors.
Yeah, right.
so many
Yeah, I like
colors.
red vinyl.
Splatter. There's splatter on it. They threw some black splatter on it.
It's no better than an 8-track. It's no better than
Yeah,
a love
no, I
thing.
can
It's
respect that.
it's like because the artists when they were recording it couldn't get the actual levels they wanted because of the actual what do you call it? The ability of the recording to put it
Yeah.
on a fucking record.
Well-
Here's 2 points though. Here's the brilliant thing about that era was how things were recorded were just incredible. Like you had to have a smart engineer if you had an idea that the technology didn't exist for you to do things like that with. I
Right.
watched that documentary about the Bee Gees on CNN, and they were talking about that Staying Alive, that loop drum beat. They actually just used tape because the drummer had to go away to deal with the bereavement, and he had that little drum beat just from a practice session. That is the song, and he just played that. They just kept looping it by cutting tape and splicing and things like that.
Absolutely.
And I love that there's mistakes on some of those records. Like,
Yeah. Oh no, it's analog is great. And
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
but
But it's not better than like
no, but the best thing about a CD is if you're a band like us now, at least with this next record, it sounds like it's going to be, is it's actually pretty long. Like we don't have to with a CD, you can let it
Right.
be. You can play something front to back from beginning to end and have a continual movement.
Yeah, you're not limited.
Right. The
Yeah.
brilliance.
Flip it over.
Yeah, the Brilliance, yeah, or split it up into 4 sides, which is annoying because you don't get that full effect. And the
Yeah.
Brilliance of bands that have also really like come to influence me, bands like Isis or Cult of Luna, is like, I got a record, they're releasing 75-minute long albums, and they're written as movements of music.
Yep.
I can get that off that CD quality when I'm driving. I mean, I guess you can stream it too that way, but you know, as if when I buy something physically, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that final thing. You know, I was saying
I
that.
still
you
have
just-
CD books.
yeah, I still have that, yeah.
Well, I missed the artwork.
Yeah, the artwork.
Yes.
I mean, there's still the artwork online that we can enjoy. Speaking of which, you all are recording, and that's good. Where do you guys go?
Sharpsburg with Matt Berry.
Very
Okay.
tight studios.
Yeah, we think he's
Oh,
a
yeah.
drum. He's like a drum whisperer.
Yeah.
We recorded the Juggernaut single in its entirety with Matt, and then we had we had something come up with Chip where he couldn't record when we had him booked. We couldn't record the rest of the, we recorded that's like a 2.5 minute long song. We had another 8 songs ready to go, and we couldn't record it the drums with Chip. Like I think we were booked to go that following February.
Yep.
Right. So we had to hurry up and do the drums in December. And we went to another guy, which is great. It sounds really good, but we noticed there's a difference in the way that the drums really sound, at least for us. We like it kind of raw. We
Yeah.
like very like huge. He has a huge drum room.
Yes.
Like the good records, what we were just talking about, like in the 70s, like the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge. And the drums
Oh,
are just in the room. Everyone else is outside of it. And it's this huge room where when you boom, boom on the bass drum, it fills up the whole room. And that's why that's why we need to get it. That's why we like going to Matt.
Yeah.
Oh,
And for me, I mean, I've recorded a lot of stuff over the past God knows how many years. And Matt, to me, and this is not taking anything away from anybody else, because we have worked in the past with some amazing engineers and I mean a lot of amazing people. But Matt is the first engineer that I work with on a drummer level that pushes me. And when I say pushes me, he tells me it's not good enough. Do it again.
Yeah.
Nope.
Mhm.
You're almost there. One more. Nope. You're almost there. One more. You're almost there. I mean, like he won't let me slide on that one snare hit was like only a drum nerd would notice that snare hits off a little bit. He's not letting me slide. Like let's go. You can do better.
That's
I
good.
never had that before. Never
Yeah.
experienced that. And
Mhm.
and that's what I told these guys. I said, my drums are happening with Matt for the next album, beginning and end, because that dude just knows what he's doing. He pushes me and he knows when we did it right. And he don't even know the music yet. He just knows like that's the one.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And
Super cool
he
experience.
records like he gets me as a guitarist. He gets me. We have a lot of the same bands, but when we first met him and I said I like the John Agnello style of guitar recording, his eyes got real big. He's like, he's like, I'm in the jaw box too. I like it. You just put a head on a cabinet, put it in a room, turn it up as loud as you want, and mic it, and then you play. It's raw, really dirty sounding. Second track, do it again that way, and it's gonna be imperfect. I don't want to record directly into a box. I don't want to do it like that. I want to do it. I want people to hear my guitar, and if it's crazy. You can hear the strumming. I love that stuff. I don't know.
Well, we threw him off as well because you guys probably know, it seems like anymore, everyone's doing all this digital recording with the click tracks and everything's mapped out and all this. Now I mean, I was in high school just like you, drums, I was in drum line, I was in concert band, so I got the theory, I got all that stuff. Like I can play to a click track all day long. But like we told Matt, we don't do that. Like we don't use a click track and we don't map it out. At first he seemed real apprehensive about it because he's always doing click tracks. And when we said no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to do our thing and let us do
Go
it.
by feel.
Yes, because you have feeling. The click track stuff, don't get me wrong. I'm a hardcore guy. I love hardcore and I love metalcore and I love all that stuff. And that's all click track. It's dead on, no fluctuation, and I love it. But for what we do, I'm like, there's got to be a little sway in that tempo. There's got to be a little little
Humanity.
roughness.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Agree.
a little roughness in there every once in a while. But he wasn't, I don't think, at first real down with that because that's not what he does. Now, when we're done with it, he's kind of like, "Yep, got it."
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that it's imperfect, you know, I really do. It's who we are as a band anyway. We're never gonna write the perfect album. No musician ever is.
Right.
We did.
We didn't.
Yeah.
An award-winning
Okay,
album, not
except you.
perfect.
It's award winning, but it's not perfect.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, what else do you guys have coming down the pike? What do you want to tell the audience? What do we have to look out for?
We got shows coming up.
Tell us. I mean, this comes
Lot of
out
shows.
Sunday, so I know you had one yesterday with our friends Trainwrecked, and I'm sure that was amazing.
Yeah, in Altoona, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, we're playing Friday in Altoona with Trainwrecked.
We
the
played
6 to
last
9
night. We
tomorrow.
was yeah,
Oh yeah,
last,
Friday.
and then yeah, Mares of Thrace on Sunday.
Technically, today when this comes out, we'll be playing
Yeah.
with Mares of Thrace.
If
Oh, hell
anyone's
yeah.
listening, yeah, if anyone's listening, just come on down to Shred Shed.
Fuck
And if
yeah.
you haven't been to the Shred Shed yet, amazing venue, very DIY, very close and personal, run by, honestly, the whole place, everyone that works there and runs that place has been in the music scene for decades upon decades upon decades.
Yeah, Jesse knows about those people.
It's an
Oh, yeah.
amazing little venue, great sound. I mean, it's chill. I mean, luckily we're kind enough and lucky enough that our bass player, is part owner of it. So that kind of helps a little bit,
Yeah.
but it really is, it's a phenomenal little venue. I mean, because we're running out of these little venues. So
Yeah, we
Yeah,
are.
it's especially after COVID,
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
everything fucking closed.
Yep.
Yep.
Even the Rex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we come. I mean, we haven't played in 6 months.
yes.
Yeah, we haven't
And-
played since January.
We wrote a whole album in between then, and we're gonna play some of it.
That's awesome.
We're gonna see
Sneak
how these
peeks.
songs work in front of people.
Hell yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, not all of them. I mean, there's still some ironing to do on some of the songs.
Oh,
You know
yes.
how it is. We set a deadline though. This is what the best part about having Mary to back me up, because she says that she's with me. Deadlines make things exciting.
They do.
Yeah, they really do.
So if you have a
Alright.
deadline, like all
I'm
right,
getting outvoted left and right.
Writing the lyrics the night before we go in the studio. That's fun. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're
Hey.
playing
Yeah.
our first new song yesterday.
Yesterday, we gotta finish writing it.
And it's not done yet.
But
Nice.
it'll
you
be,
already you committed to playing it live.
yes, and it's gonna happen.
Oh, see,
One
no,
way or another.
we
Well,
wouldn't do
it's
that.
not us, 'cause the vocals are the last thing we have to figure out.
Yeah, it's usually not us. It's usually like Chip and Scott. When Chip and Scott say it's good, we can play it live.
So do you have any advice on about fucking ghosts?
Oh yeah, that's the theme of our new single.
Oh, you gotta ask Scott.
I
Scott or Chip, yeah.
We're trying to fuck ghosts. What
don't
would
know
you
if that's
recommend?
possible.
Not
No.
impossible. Don't
Yeah.
even say that.
I don't know.
Not the truth.
We're gonna do it.
Okay.
You're really- you're being really negative.
We're gonna
right
get slimed.
now. Oh.
Y'all are
we'll let
crazy.
You know how that goes.
Y'all are crazy.
Well, thank you all so much. This is Negative 13. Check them out. We'll put all their links. Follow them on the socials. They're incredible. I'm so excited to hear this new album coming out. Go check them out live, and we can't wait. We can't wait for the next 20 plus years.
Ah,
right.
nice.
Remember the bridge?
Yeah.
We'll be saying that.
That's what me
Oh,
and
I don't know if
Scott
I
were
can
talking
make
about.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
like, you're in 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Got it. I understand. Okay.
Oh, I got it.
Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you all so much. We can't
was
wait
fun.
to see you soon. Check them out, and y'all rock. Thank you for coming on.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Absolutely.